Welcome to the SMS Podcast. I'm here today to review The Front Room, directed by Robert Eggers' two brothers, Max and Sam. Talk about nepotism, and it stars another nepotism baby, fucking Brandy, who I haven't seen in like 20 years. So what's this movie about? Basically, Brandy is this pregnant anthropology professor who isn't respected at work. The beginning is so fucking wacky, the intro of this movie. Then there's this shot of Brandy and her boyfriend in this movie, and they're like posed as dolls. And eventually we see Brandy at work. She hates her job, obviously. And eventually she gets fired, and at the same time, her boyfriend's stepmom calls him up, and he's distraught because he hasn't talked to her in years. He absolutely hates her. I'm not surprised why, because she's annoying as fuck and racist. So you find out that Brandy's boyfriend, whose name is Norman, his dad is dead. So they go to his funeral, and you finally meet his stepmom, played by Kathryn. She's absolutely fucking insane the whole movie. She's pissing and shitting everywhere. The whole movie she calls Brandy Belinda. It takes the whole movie for Brandy to finally say, "My name is Belinda." She's like, "I'm sorry, Belinda. Sorry." The whole movie is just them dealing with Solange, which is Kathryn Hunter's character's name, which is the second movie dealing with an old lady with the name Solange. The other movie was that Anne Hathaway movie, which her name was Solange as well. The movie acted like she was 90 years old dating a 20-year-old. But anyway, Solange is obviously racist. She's 90 years old. You know what I'm saying? One of the crazy things in this movie, you see Brandy and Norman banging, and they're banging while she's fucking pregnant, which is insane. So the only reason they agreed to take care of her is because Belinda and Norman are obviously broke, because Belinda is like, "Oh shit, I was at Home Depot and I can't afford a can of paint," which is fucking funny. So Solange proposes this deal that they'll get her inheritance because she's old as fuck and gonna die soon. While Solange is moving in, Solange takes the title of the movie, The Front Room, even though it's supposed to be a nursery for their baby. So after she moves in, obviously Belinda starts dealing with all these passive-aggressive ass racial connotations. She even finds this certificate that says that Solange is part of the Daughters of the Confederacy. Norman then tells Belinda that Solange believes that she's possessed by the Holy Spirit. She's speaking in tongues, and it's out of control. So one night they're at dinner, and they tell Solange the baby's name, and Brandy's like, "I'm gonna name her Fern." And then Solange goes into this trance, and she's like, "No, why don't we just name him Lori after your dad?" Because Belinda tells her that my father's name was Lawrence, and he died right before I was born, because Solange is like, "Oh, you come from a broken family." One night, Solange is praying. She somehow induces Belinda into labor, and it's through a C-section. So when Belinda comes back home, she realizes that all the furniture's been changed and all of fucking Solange's friends are there. It's this goofy ass scene where they all pray over Belinda and her baby. Then you find out that Norman was okay with changing all the furniture, but of course he didn't tell Belinda. So that's when the scene goes off the rails, and Solange basically goes Fight Club, and she slams her head against the table to make it look like Belinda did it. And of course Norman walks in at the same time, and Solange convinces Norman that Belinda pushed her. So then the pastor stops by and accidentally reveals that Solange has already paid off the mortgage of the house in full, which is insane. I forgot to mention, while they were at dinner, Solange brings up how Brandy's dad's from Haiti, and that Haiti isn't a stable country, which is fucking crazy. Also, that Solange calls Brandy an uppity Yankee, which insane. So Brandy, of course, is stuck at home taking care of Solange and the baby at the same time. She has to fucking give baths to Solange. Solange is shitting and pissing everywhere. So that's when Belinda starts having these weird-ass dreams in which one of them you see Solange is dressed as Mother Mary, and she's just holding baby Lori. Lori even becomes more attached to Solange than Belinda. You see that Lori cries every time that Belinda is getting held by her, but when she has the cross over her crib, she stops crying. And even Norman begins to become protective over Solange, which is crazy. So then we see things really go off the rails when Norman is angered by this bite mark on the baby's arm, and Belinda tries to convince him that it's Solange's because there's a missing tooth mark. And I guess Norman is convinced because he finally confronts Solange. It only took you like 30 years, dog. Jesus Christ. But it kind of backfires because the whole night Solange is just pleading that she wants to die, blah, 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 blah. And the next morning, they wake up and Solange is dead. Immediately, you see her get cremated. The baby finally latches on to Belinda. We get this final scene years later. They move into a new home, and Belinda has Norman throw out Solange's chair. Belinda's pregnant with twins now, and she's ready to try this job interview. It's so fucking goofy. She's singing No Regrets. So at this interview, the dean asks her how she's able to deal with previous situation, and you see this flashback, and it reveals that Belinda smothered Solange to death. The end. This movie is so fucking dumb. So let's start with the positives. Kathryn Hunter, she's definitely the best part of the movie. Honestly, maybe even the only good part. Well, I can't say that. Some of the cinematography is good. She's definitely the best part. She's really carrying the whole movie. Her acting is miles above anyone else in this movie. It's not even close. Also, I really like the cinematography of this movie in some of the shots. I did think the movie was pretty funny, especially Solange calling Belinda the whole movie. And then she finally calls her Belinda when Brandy is like annoyed as fuck. But yeah, that's about it. So let's get into the negatives. I knew this movie was gonna be dumb. When I saw the trailers, I honestly thought it was gonna be terrible from the trailers, but it's not as bad as the trailers make it look. Brandy in this movie, she's so bad in this movie. The whole movie, she just looks confused of what to do. I'm like, did you forget how to act, Brandy? Like, all those years on Moesha, I guess because she hasn't acted in years, she forgot how to do it. The guy who plays Norman, he's so bad in this movie. I don't know. Is that Brandy's real life boyfriend? I have no idea. Also, apparently they're not supposed to be the same age, even though they look like the same age, but the guy's supposed to be younger than Brandy. Also, the fact that this movie is supposed to be horror, but it's basically a black comedy. None of this movie's scary. It's not even that trippy, other than a few dream sequences in which you see Solange in these crazy-ass outfits. I also thought that Brandy and Norman had no chemistry at all. You wouldn't even be able to tell if the movie didn't tell you they were a couple. The biggest problem I had was the ending, that it just ends. I mean, I felt like they could have kept going, especially when you found out that Brandy killed her. That would have felt like the start of the third act. I mean, it could have kept going, like Brandy just goes insane and she kills the rest of them because she's unhappy with her life, which is clearly what the movie is trying to say. But these hack brothers of Robert Eggers don't know what the fuck they're doing, especially casting Brandy. Could they really not get anybody else to play the main character? Why was it Brandy? They bring up that Brandy's had a miscarriage before, which really goes nowhere. I don't even know why they brought it up in the movie. Maybe it's because you're banging while you're pregnant. But anyways, that's really all I have to say about this movie. I would give it a 5. That's being nice. Only because of Kathryn Hunter's performance and the fact that this movie's pretty funny. mostly because of her. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Go like, comment, subscribe. Go rate the podcast 5 stars. That's all I gotta say. Bye.